What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to talk about how to start an LLC for your Amazon FBA business. And I'm going to go over every unique scenario possible, whether you're a US citizen, a non-resident, no social security number, and every other relevant scenario. That way you know exactly what to do in your unique situation. I'm also going to take you on screen to show you how the application works. I'm going to take you through the EIN as well and go over many other questions when it comes to this process. So first, I want to talk about, why do you need an LLC? I'm sure some of you out there are probably asking yourself, can I just start this with my personal name? Well, let me tell you why that's a common mistake and what that can set you up for potentially down the road. So why you want to start an LLC is because what it technically stands for is limited liability company. And the key term in there is liability, okay? So say, gosh forbid, someone chokes on your product, some kid chokes on your product, gets hurt, dies, something like that. Well, you're most likely looking at a lawsuit. Now, knocking on wood, I've never seen this happen, but in case it does happen, that means someone can only go after that company and not your personal assets. So if you don't have an LLC, they can actually just go after, your boat, your home, your car, where if you have an LLC, they can only take what's inside that LLC. So this protects your personal assets and protects your daily livelihood to make sure nothing terrible happens and you got to start from zero again. As well as helping out with liability, this is just good to have just for keeping accounting clean, keeping records clean, and making sure you can take full advantage of any, tax benefits, things like that from having a company, which I'll get more into taxes here a little bit later. So that's why you guys need an LLC. It's very important there, and I recommend it for everybody starting an Amazon FBA business, especially if you plan on doing this long term. Now, for the first scenario, I want to talk about if you're a US citizen, okay? So the best route if you're a US citizen, which if you're a US citizen, this makes it as easy as possible, and you're gonna have the least amount of speed bumps, which is awesome. So the best way and the cheapest way is to file with your state here. So currently I'm in Tennessee, right? So file in Tennessee, LLC here, if I could spell. We click that and we go down and go to these sponsored listings. We see businesses, Tennessee Secretary of State right here. We go down and we see this button right here, file new businesses online. We click that, hit start now, and you go through that process to file. Now, I've never done this personally. I actually have someone else do this for me, and I'm going to show you a little bit later how I exactly do that, because I don't want to mess anything up. I don't have to worry about, annually renewing it, everything like that, because you don't want a slippage with year-to-year LLCs, because that could be a headache of a problem. But you can also use services like Zen Business, LegalZoom. So if we go back, right, click back here, we see the sponsored listings. We see InkFile, we see Zen Business, LegalZoom. These are all great services to use to start an LLC. Very easy. Type in your preferred business name right now. If you guys get caught up in your naming your LLC, it's not that important. You'll have a different brand name, and that's okay. It doesn't have to tie into the LLC name here. And we can see and compare prices right there. We can go back, go to LegalZoom here as well. I trust all these right here. So InkFile, Zen Business, LegalZoom are all well reputable companies that I personally would use. And that's exactly what I do if I was trying to get an LLC in my state. Obviously, for certain states like New York, California, New Jersey, their filing fees are absolutely ridiculous, and there's ways to do this out of state to protect yourself from those fees, which I'm going to show you here in a second. Next scenario here. So if you're on the accepted list for Amazon.com, so meaning your country, wherever you live, is accepted to register on Amazon.com, which I'll show you that list here in a second, then you would just want to start one in your country to make things easier. And if it makes sense, okay? So there's some countries out there that their business filings, they just don't trust the government with their business, or they want to make something in the US just to be more protected, things like that. I get that. And I'll show that scenario here in a second. But, countries like Canada, UK, Australia, all perfect countries you can start a business in. Canada, corporation is the best bet there. UK, LTD, of course, if you live in those countries, you're going to know probably a little bit more than me for those business filings. So do what's best for you there. And I actually recommend that you do this in your own country because it makes things so much easier. Filing for your business bank account, you have your local bank right down the street instead of just trying to figure out a US bank. All your documents will line up, everything like that. So if you're in these big countries, just get it in your home country and just go from there. Now, to see if your country actually is it part of the accepted country list, you can just Google Seller Central accepted countries. I have that up here. So we see there's a ton of countries that are accepted here. And so just make sure you're on this list before you start. Now on to what I do. So if you're outside the USA or don't want to file in your state or country, what I do personally here, I use a registered agent, okay? So this is someone who actually files on your behalf and takes care of everything, okay? So there's actually some really cheap states you can do this in and cheap services. So my favorite that I've used over 5-6 times here is Buffalo Registered Agents. So we can see here, it's just a $150 here to get that all set up. And then I believe it's $50 per year to have them annually renew this for you. So you don't have to worry about a single thing. And I'm going to take you through the application here in a little bit. The next one here is Delaware Business Incorporators. So You're probably asking why Delaware, why Wyoming? That's because they have the most friendly state LLC regulations. Okay, so in Wyoming, for instance, they actually don't put your name on the LLC, so no one can really track that back to you as being your LLC, which is great for Amazon. People reverse engineering, figure it out, what company it is to your Amazon seller name if you want to keep your products hidden. As well as the fees are super low compared to like California, which I believe is like $900 a year to keep it going, which just doesn't make any sense at all. The cool thing about Delaware Business Incorporators, you can actually start your LLC as well as set up a utility bill, which some people might need later. Now, it isn't perfectly foolproof, but it does give you a little bit more ammo if they want a utility bill, but they only require about 30 to 40% of Amazon sellers to have a utility bill. So just keep that in mind there. I'm actually gonna go through a little bit more FAQ on that topic. Cool thing about these companies as well is you can get a mailing address, so a suite number, where you can get mail forwarded to, everything like that to keep your address private, because obviously if you put your address on your Amazon account, this will be public information. So we can put a suite number on there that doesn't tie back to your home address, which is super handy to have. Next, let's talk about EIN. Okay, so what is an EIN? It's pretty much like a social security number for your business. So what the government keeps tabs on, a number you're actually going to want to put into Amazon Seller Central to get registered. So you need to get your LLC first, and then you can go register for your EIN, which again, you're going to need this for your business bank account. You're going to need this for your Seller Central account, everything like that. That will be tied to your actual business. So if you're a US citizen, this is pretty straightforward. It's free. So don't be paying people to go get your EIN number. It's a waste of money. You can do this for free. The application online is super easy, just to hit apply online. Only weird thing here is hours of operation. You can only do this during like business days, which is kind of weird because it's online, but it is what it is. If you're a non-citizen, your application's a little different. You will have to apply by telephone or fax here. So you can call and get this, where US citizens can just literally do this all online. Where again, if you're non-US citizen, you'll have to go ahead and do this here. The cool thing is you have an ITIN number, which some international people do. You can do it online as well, and you won't have to call in anything like that. Now for the worst case scenario and the last scenario here, if you're not on an accepted country that Amazon allows, your road is much, much tougher, okay? Just to be plain and simple with you here, you'll have to get someone from an accepted country to help you out. So someone who can run your account, you could be a user on, but they'll have to set that up. Make sure you trust them if you go this route, because they do have full control of your Amazon account. So it is a little, dangerous there in a sense. You can also do this with a virtual desktop VPN. So just kind of tricking Amazon, saying you're somewhere where you're not. You'll have to make an LLC, get an accepted bank account, credit card, everything like that. So it's very tricky. Okay. I have seen people do this, but hopefully you don't have to resort to this and everything is okay. Amazon keeps adding accepted countries all the time. So hopefully it's just a matter of time before your country is on the list. Now going back up to the Wyoming LLC, let me take you through the application process so you know exactly how to do that. So we see here, it's just $49 per year to keep this going, which again is very acceptable price there. You're really not going to find any better pricing anywhere else. So we go to business entity type. We want LLC here. So for this, I'll just use, Camron James LLC, but you'll put your name in there as well. Member or manager manage. Don't worry about alternative company name unless you have a DBA or something already set up. But if you don't know what that is, then you really don't have to worry about it. Next, I do member managed here. So just meaning that it's managed by its members and not like a appointed, manager to run the whole company there. So we have owners. So this will be Camron James. If you have multiple owners, you can add owners into here, but for me, this doesn't apply. Next, we have optional items. We'll file your annual report for you. Yes, keep this on because we don't want any lapse in coverage. We want this to automatically update. They'll send you emails, everything like that to make sure that it's coming up, but they'll file for you annually here. Next, tax ID. Don't get this again. They're going to make you pay for it, which is $50 here, $150 if you don't have an SSN. Okay, so don't do that because again, you can go do this for yourself for free and it's not that hard. Next, Wyoming phone number here. You can get this if you need it, but I personally don't need it. If I need an extra phone number, I just use Google Voice to do that. Again, if you're international, you might have to figure something else out. Google is your best bet for that, to figure out how to get a US phone number. Next, I want to have my own unique Wyoming business address. I do. Okay, so it's free. Open and scan 10 documents for free here. So meaning you get the address, you can send mail here. They'll open and scan 10 documents per month here, it looks like. Next, 10 documents per year. $50, $25, $99, and the virtual office here is unlimited here. So I usually just do the free and I upgrade if I need to later, which I believe, when it gets a little busier, I have this one right here. That's $100 per year. Okay. Corporate book, corporate seal. I never get any of that stuff. I think it's just an added bonus to upsell you, which again, I've never needed any of this stuff, and it's been 6 years, 6 LLCs. Don't get this stuff, okay? You can always go back and get it later. Next, obviously your name, phone number, address, zip code, state. Notify your attorney of a lawsuit. No, of course, email right here as well. And then payment terms and service. So obviously just your credit card, debit card, whatever this is to pay for your services. So for the EIN, the application is pretty simple. I do have an additional video I'll link down below if you guys need that. But I want to get into FAQ here, okay? So a lot of common questions about this topic, making sure you guys know all the information you need to know, just because, again, every scenario is a little unique. So let me go by these one by one, and hopefully it answers any unknown questions you guys still have. So the first one I get a ton: how do I file taxes outside the US with the US LLC? Now, I personally can't give you any information on this because I'm not a certified CPA, but what you're gonna do, and what I personally do as well, is I'll get a CPA. So you'll have to go to the, Upwork.com, Google, find a US CPA to help you with any questions you have. Now, if I'm gonna be honest, just again, personal advice here, I'm not a CPA. I wouldn't worry about this until you're selling like 5-10K a month on Amazon, and then worry about that end of year, because you're not going to have that many documents, that much, data, accounting, anything like that, where, if you give it to them in December, it'll be easy bookkeeping to get the whole year filed. What I see is most people get hung up on this and they actually don't get started selling because they're concerned about US taxes, things like that. But you are liable if you sell in the US. Just know that. Get a CPA once you get some traction going. Okay. Not accounting advice, not legal advice, but just personal talking out loud here. Next, do you need an LLC to register for a seller account? So technically, no. You can use your personal information, social security number, ITIN, things like that. But again, I want an LLC to protect myself against anything bad happening, keeping my accounting clean so I can be worry-free. Again, I'm in this stuff for the long term. I don't want to worry about, people coming after my personal assets, things like that. Next, if you have a social security number, do you still need an EIN? Yes, if you're looking to get your Seller Central account done through your LLC or have your LLC on that account, you need an EIN, okay? If you put it in your personal name, no, you don't need this social security number, but I just talked about all the cons if you do it from a personal name and not an LLC, so keep that in mind. Next, what states do you recommend for non-US residents to form an LLC? Wyoming, Delaware, there's some other good states out there, New Mexico, Texas. So just do your own research. It's just, you got to pick one, and I like Wyoming. Been doing it for 6+ years there. Next question, when can I set up my Seller Central after this process? So you need to get your LLC set up, okay? Then after the LLC is done, you can go apply to get your EIN. So you need that, okay? Then you're gonna need a business bank account, okay, with, takes USD if you're doing an Amazon.com account, and also an internationally chargeable credit card to put on that account too, just for Amazon wants that for safekeeping. That way you're not overcharging, they can't get in your bank account, things like that. If you rack up a bunch of advertising fees. For the business bank account stuff and the credit card, guys, especially for non-residents, I'm going to link a video that has hundreds of thousands of views that goes through that whole process. So just check it out when this video is done. Next, does your bank need to be in the same state as your LLC? So no, okay? So my bank, one of them's in Florida, one of them's in Iowa, I have one in Arizona, Colorado, all over the place. I just try to pick a bank, especially as a US citizen, that's, Chase, Wells Fargo, didn't like them so much, but anything that's like nationally recognizable. So Bank of America and Chase are my two favorites for that. Outside the US, again, I'll have that video linked down below talking about all the things you could do, Mercury, Wise, Payoneer, what that process looks like. Next, can I use the US LLC to sell in other Amazon FBA countries? Yes, you can, okay? So the US LLC, you can go to the UK, Canada, Australia, all the marketplaces, you can use that same exact US LLC to get into those countries to sell. Next, how can you get through the utility bill as a non-US citizen, and will I need one? So most people won't need this, but if you do, the Delaware company is probably the best there to get that made up for you. Again, this is not foolproof, so do your research, talk to them, see what's going on. This stuff changes all the time, guys. So you're gonna need to do your own research and keep up to date there. Next, will filing in another state versus the one you live in cause issues or double taxation? So again, I'm not a tax expert, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA, anything like this, but I personally didn't worry about this until like 5 years in. So eventually, you want to start, putting a foreign LLC, say you have a Wyoming LLC, right? And then you live in Colorado or Tennessee. You can file to be a foreign LLC there. But to me, nothing really changed. It was a little bit of a fee to make sure my LLC was in Tennessee as well as Wyoming. But regardless of scenario, if my LLC is in Wyoming, I'm still paying state taxes wherever I live. So nothing really changed there. Why I like Wyoming again, because it's updates regularly. It's cheap. My name's not on my LLC. So everything's good to go there. Again, this is why I prefer, if you live in a tax-friendly state, I move around a lot. I'm all over the place. So it's just easier to set up in Wyoming, have an address there where I can get my mail sent. But say I lived in Texas or Wyoming or Delaware, somewhere that's, New Mexico, somewhere that's friendly, and I'm going to be there for the long haul. I'm making an LLC in that state because it's going to be the easiest when it comes to addresses, making sure everything's, lines up, everything like that. So just keep that in mind as well. Next, if I file my LLC in Wyoming, will it make me send to Wyoming Amazon FBA centers? No, that's not how this thing works. Amazon's going to have you send to whatever's easiest. So if you're getting from a Chinese manufacturer, you put that address in from ship from. This can probably put you in LA port. Okay. So that way it's going into the nearest port. You can also change your address to wherever you live. They don't care. And they're going to give you the closest one nearby or whatever one they prefer, right? If you sell a bunch of items in New York and you live in California, well, they're going to make you send to New York regardless, because that's where most of your product gets sold. And the last one, guys, what should I do for a business bank account? Again, I prefer Chase, Bank of America if you're a US citizen. There's some other good ones out there, so just do what is best for you, whoever you have a good relationship with. If you're out of the country, a non-resident, again, I'm going to link a video that goes through that. And it's, I can't go through that whole content here. This will be a 6-hour long video. So that's down below for you guys to check out if that's something that you guys need. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful to get your LLC set up. Again, if you're gonna do this long-term, just get one set up. Just do it the right way the first time. That way you don't have to worry about any personal headaches down the road. Your accounting's clean, everything like that. This video was helpful. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me. And you can stay up to date with everything Amazon FBA related. As well, if you guys want my 46-page long field manual, so essentially a cheat sheet, ebook there about everything Amazon FBA, that'll be linked down below too. That's newly updated this year. And I added about 3 or 4 more pages about launching, because that one is a doozy, but it's got product research, suppliers, international shipping, how to write your listing, product photography, PPC, launching, everything like that's inside that guidebook. I spent a lot of time on that. So make sure you get a copy of that, which you just put your email in. Then we send it straight to your email. That way you have it. If you hate my emails, I'll send a little bit after that. But if you hate them, just unsubscribe. At least you have the guidebook there for you guys. So no pressure there. Just I'm asking for an email. That way I can send it to you. And then I have some more value emails that come along after that. But again, that's all optional. So no pressure to get my emails, but I do write them myself if you guys like Amazon info. Otherwise, guys, got any more questions, you think I missed anything, put them in the comments down below. And until next time, guys, bye.